Hello students. So today we'll be studying the development during the fourth to eighth week. So this is known as an embryonic period. So competencies to be covered in this is you have to describe the development of somites and intra-embryonic xylome, and then you have to describe the diagnosis of pregnancy in first trimester and role of teratogens and alpha fetoprotein. So firstly, what is the embryonic or the organogenic period? So the period from fourth to eighth week of development is known as the embryonic period, in which the major organs will be forming. So all the derms are changing and assigning the fate of their further development. The germ disc, it will get folded on itself to form an identifiable shape of human embryo. So the various events occurring during this period is ectodermal differentiation, mesodermal differentiation, the embryonic folding in the cephalocaudal axis and the lateral folding, and the endodermal differentiation. Now, what are teratogens? The factors which are causing embryonic malformation. So, these affect the developing embryo to produce various congenital anomalies. So, that is why teratogens are very important. So firstly, what is the differentiation of ectoderm? So at the beginning of the third week, the central part of the ectoderm overlying the developing notochord thickens to form neural plate or neuroectoderm. So we have studied about this neurulation in the last lecture. So this is the neuroectoderm. So remaining part of the ectoderm is called the surface ectoderm. So the ectoderm will give rise to your central nervous system as well as the surface ectoderm. So neuroectoderm will undergo neurulation and it will form central nervous system. The peripheral nervous system and the autonomic nervous system both are derived from neural crest cells which were developing from the lateral lips of this neural groove. So cephalic part of the neural tube, it will show dilatations as forebrain vesicle, midbrain vesicle, and hindbrain vesicle, whereas the distal part will form the neural tube, which will form the distal part of the neural tube will form the spinal cord. Now you can see these are the two cranial neuropores. Anterior one will be closing at day 25, the posterior one around day 27. So this is the look of an embryo. Over here, this is the yolk sac. This one is the amnion. This one is our developing embryo. Mainly, this is the mesoderm, which you are seeing. So this is the anterior neuropore. The neural tube has been taken inside. And this is the pericardial bulge. Fine. This one is the yolk sac. These are the somites. Somites are developed from the paraxial mesoderm. Okay, and this one is the connecting stalk. This one is the posterior neuropore. Over here, the neuropores have been closed. So, firstly, what will you see on the surface ectoderm? So, the surface ectoderm will show the two depressions, one at the buccopharyngeal membrane just ahead of the precaudal plate, and one caudally, that is the cloacal membrane. At these two places, the trilaminar disc is not trilaminar, it is just bilaminar. Mesoderm is absent at these two places. So, ectoderm and endoderm are firmly adherent at buccopharyngeal and the cloacal membrane. The buccopharyngeal membrane is also known as oropharyngeal membrane, and it lies cranial to the precaudal plate. On the development of head fold, it comes to lie between the forebrain vesicle and the pericardial bulge. तो ये forebrain और pericardial bulge के बीच में आ जाती है. Then at the beginning of the fourth week, the buccopharyngeal membrane ruptures to form communication between the amniotic cavity and the primitive gut. Okay, so fluid will circulate from the amniotic cavity to the yolk sac. Yolk sac is your primitive gut. Now the cloacal membrane divides into interior urogenital membrane and a posterior anal membrane, and cloacal membrane will rupture around 7th week of intrauterine life. So what are the derivatives of the surface ectoderm? It includes epidermis, hair and nail, sebaceous glands, and the sweat glands. Note, these are not mesodermal, these are ectodermal in origin. then the olfactory pit, the optic vesicle and the lens vesicle from which our eyes will be developing. Olfactory pit will give rise to the nasal pits. Then is the otic vesicle giving rise to your ear, the middle ear and the external ear, and the internal ear as well. Then the branchial clefts, the Rathke's pouch giving rise to the pituitary fossa. Then epithelial lining of the cheek, gum, teeth enamel, not the dentin, and the root of the mouth, nasal cavity, and the paranasal air sinuses. All are ectodermal in origin. Then all your salivary glands, the mammary gland, because since it is a modified sweat gland, so it is also ectodermal, and the pituitary gland, since it is developing from the Rathke's pouch. So all these are ectodermal in origin. And apart from this, your whole of the central, peripheral, and the autonomic nervous system is also ectodermal in origin. Now, this is the mesodermal differentiation being shown over here. This is the neural groove it is forming. Now, the mesoderm has arranged itself into three rods. That is, one is the paraxial mesoderm flanking the notochord. Ahead, the region of the primitive node till the cloacal membrane, and then is the intermediate, which is mainly found in the trunk, and is the lateral plate mesoderm. So from medial to lateral, mesoderm on both the sides of notochord is arranged into three rods or three bars. One is the medialmost is the paraxial mesoderm, the intermediate mesoderm, and the lateral plate mesoderm. Then over here, it is shown that the neural tube has been formed. The neural crest cells have been separated, and finally the paraxial mesoderm have developed into, they have arranged themselves into somites. This one is the intermediate, and this one is the lateral plate mesoderm, in which the intraembryonic coelom has been formed over here. So what are the events during the mesodermal differentiation? So by the end of the third week, primitive streak, it will start regressing, and the mesodermal cells that are migrated from the primitive streak, they will start forming rod-shaped structures on either side of this notochord. So condensed mesodermal rods are separated by shallow grooves into three parts. So one is the paraxial mesoderm, which is near the axis. Then is the intermediate mesoderm, lies lateral to the paraxial mesoderm, and is the lateral plate mesoderm, which is the lateralmost part of the mesoderm. So now the paraxial mesoderm, which is situated on both the sides of the notochord, will start differentiating into the somatomeres. So the paraxial mesoderm, it extends from the precaudal plate and to the primitive streak. So it will form a series of rounded whorled masses with a small cavity inside it, like a donut. So these whorled masses are known as somatomeres. Now the somatomeres further form discrete block of segmental mesoderm called somites. So when they get arranged them, these somatomeres, when they get arranged themselves like blocks around the notochord, they will form somites or metameres. So initially, paraxial mesoderm will form somatomeres, which are donut-like whorl masses with the cavities, and then they will form blocks around the notochord. They will be known as somites. Now the somites the intermediate mesoderm lying between the paraxial and the lateral plate mesoderm will form the urogenital system. That is, they will give rise to kidney and the sex glands. And the lateral plate mesoderm extends from intermediate mesoderm to extraembryonic mesoderm. So cranially, it is continuous. ये एक cut section है. This is only the cut section. So the whole of the disc is extended anterior to it also. So you imagine like a plate. So the lateral plate mesoderm, cranially, it is continued with the pericardial bar. So pericardial bar is also mesodermal condensation cranial to the buccopharyngeal membrane. And now the small cavities will start appearing in this lateral plate mesoderm, splitting it into two layers, the somatopleuric and the splanchnopluric mesoderm. Right? So similarly, a cavity will also appear in the pericardial bar itself, and it will be known as a pericardial cavity or a pericardial sac. So over here, this is the longitudinal section which is shown over here. This one is the blue one is our ectoderm. sorry, this blue one is the notochord, right? So notochord has induced neuroectoderm over it. And over here, you can see this is the small pericardial ridge. So below this is a cavity. This is a pericardial cavity. So now over here, the folding, cephalocaudal folding has been started. So initially, this pericardial bar was ahead of this buccopharyngeal membrane. But later on, this pericardial bar, because of the folding, will lie caudal to this buccopharyngeal membrane and the forebrain vesicle. This one is the forebrain vesicle, which will come anterior to it. So this buccopharyngeal membrane is lying between the forebrain vesicle and the pericardial bridge. And this one is the septum transversum. Now the formation of the layers of the lateral plate mesoderm will be divided into two layers. I told you, somatopleuric layer and the splanchnopluric layer. So the somatopleuric layer is the parietal layer which comes in contact with the ectoderm. So that is the somatopleuric layer. And here will be the splanchnopluric layer, which will be in close contact with the endoderm. Here is the intraembryonic coelom, which will be start occurring along with the cephalocaudal folding in the mesoderm. Then is a septum transversum. A septum transversum is initially ahead of this, in this region, it is ahead of this pericardial cavity. So it is a continuation where somatopleuric mesoderm will continue with the splanchnopluric mesoderm. This area is known as septum transversum. Now with the cephalocaudal folding, this septum transversum will come and lie caudal to this pericardial cavity. So this is the septum transversum, and which will form the future diaphragm. So it is a cranial mesodermal horseshoe shaped bar over here and connecting somatopleuric layer with the splanchnopluric layer. Later on, because it will form diaphragm and it comes to lie caudal to the pericardial cavity because of the cephalocaudal folding of the embryo. All the events are occurring simultaneously. Now, the formation of the coelomic cavity. So now this is a longitudinal section. This is a mesoderm. So small lacunar spaces, they have appeared in the lateral plate mesoderm and they will coalesce to form an intraembryonic coelom. Later on, since this cavity will expand, so it will communicate with the exocoelomic cavity as well. So now the exocoelomic cavity will communicate with the intraembryonic coelom. So this intraembryonic coelomic cavity will extend towards the pericardial cavity with the pleural cavity and the peritoneal cavities initially. Now, what is the fate of the lateral plate mesoderm? So we have a somatopleuric over here. This is the somatopleuric layer. So parietal layers of the peritoneal, pericardial, and the pleural cavities, they are formed by somatopleuric layer. And it will give rise to the dermis, the pectoral and the pelvic girdles, the skeletal elements of the limbs. So all this will be formed by the lateral plate mesoderm. The skeletal elements of the pectoral and the pelvic girdles and of the limbs along with the dermis. Okay? And then the splanchnopluric layer, it will form the visceral layer of the pericardial, peritoneal and the pleural cavities. And the musculature and the connective tissue of gut, respiratory tract and the heart. So all this are derived from the splanchnopluric layer. So now to summarize, this is the somites. We will study more about the somites. So from the paraxylal mesoderm, we get somites. So from somites, we get sclerotome, myotome, and dermatome. So from sclerotome, we get the skeletal elements, that is the ribs and the vertebrae. Since it is only in the head and neck region and the thoracic region, then the myotome will give rise to the skeletal muscles of the limbs as well as the epaxial and the hypaxial body. Then is the dermatome, which will form the dermis of the skin. So dermis is mesodermal in origin, whereas epidermis is ectodermal in origin. Then intermediate mesoderm will form kidney and the sex glands, and the lateral plate mesoderm will split it by this intraembryonic coelom into the two parts. The splanchnopluric layer will form the connective tissue of the gut, respiratory tract, and heart, whereas somatopleuric layer will form the parietal layer of the peritoneum, pleura, and the pericardium. and also the skeletal elements of the limbs, the pelvic and the pectoral girdles. So coming to the somite, you get a short note on a somite. So para-axial mesoderm on condensation will form somatomeres that later on undergo segmentation, and they will form somites from precaudal plate to the primitive streak. So proximal somatomeres, they which are underlying the developing brain and which is rostral to the otic vesicle, they remain unsegmented. So they will form the striated muscles of the face, jaw, and throat. So you're frequently asked the derivatives of the from where the muscles of the face and the jaw and throat are derived. They are from the proximal somatomeres, which are unsegmented. Then the precaudal plate mesoderm form preotic somites, which will form the extrinsic muscles of the eye. Then the first pair of somites appear on the 20th day on each side of the cranial end of the notochord. Okay. So somites continue to appear from day 20 to day 30 in a craniocaudal direction, and in a day, three pair of somites are being formed. So a total 42 to 44 pairs of somites are formed. So occipital are 4 pairs, cervical are 8 pairs, thoracic are 12 pairs, sacral are 5 pairs, and coccygeal are 8 to 10 pairs. These will be fusing, and finally what will be remain with us? Only 37 pair of somites. So the counting of somites, the first somite will appear on day 20, and further 3 pair of somites get segmented each day. So it extends from cranial to caudal direction. Hence somites, it will give us idea about the fetal age. So this is a chart which is given about the days. These are the days and these are the number of somites which you will be seeing. So for counting the somites in sonography, you can determine the age of the fetus. So what is the structure of a somite? A somite is differentiated into 3 parts. So firstly is a sclerotome. So over here you can see this is a somite. So it will divide it into ventral and a dorsal part. So it has a ventral medial part, ventrolateral, dorsomedial, and dorsolateral part. And this one is the middle part of the somite. So initially it is with a ring, it is a somatomere. Now it is formed a block. Now it is forming a somite. Okay, so it is has got a ventromedial part. It has got sclerotome. So somite has got a sclerotome. So it is a ventromedial part, and it will be forming the ribs and vertebrae. Then comes the myotome. It is the dorsomedial. This one is the dorsal part. So dorsomedial part and the ventrolateral part. These part of the somites will form the myotome. And finally, the dermatome, it is the dorsolateral part. So the dorsolateral part will be forming the dermatome. The dorsomedial and ventrolateral part, these both will migrate and it will form the myotome, and ventromedial part will form the sclerotome. So finally, they will get arranged like this: sclerotome, then myotome, and topmost will be the dermatome. So dermatome will form the dermis of the skin. So a small cavity, myocele of somite, is obliterated by the proliferation of the cells, and each somite is supplied by a single spinal nerve because they are arranging around the notochord. Notochord, and then it will be they will be arranging around the neural tube, which will be forming the spinal cord. So some authors, they consider dermomyotome instead of separate dermatome and myotome. So the occipital somites and preotic somites participate in the formation of the base of the skull. The preotic somites were forming extrinsic musculature of the eyes, and occipital somites were the first 4 somites which were occurring. So somites is giving rise to sclerotome, myotome, and dermatome. Dermatome forming dermis, myotome forming the muscles, epaxial and the hypaxial, and the limb musculature. So this is a summary which is given. What are the derivatives of sclerotome, arthrotome, dermatome, myotome, and syndactome? Okay, you just have to remember the sclerotome, dermatome, and myotome. Okay, so important thing is limb muscles, they are derived from myotome. So wherever these myotome and dermatome, they will be migrating, they will be taking away their nerve supply because they are arranging around the neural tube. The notochord will be remaining as the intervertebral disc element and the nucleus pulposus. They will be taking the nerve supply along with it. So that is why the limb musculature, especially of the upper limb and the lower limb, they have their root value from the cervical and the lumbar plexus. They are present apart from it, but they have migrated over there and they have taken their nerve supply along with it. And that forms the basis of the referred pain as well. Now coming to the blood vessels. So over here you can see these are the mesodermal cells. These are arranging and they are forming the hemangioblast under the growth factors, the fibroblast growth factor and the vascular endothelial growth factor. And finally a tube formation is there, and it will be then forming the sprouting of these from this tube. So there are basically two processes, vasculogenesis and angiogenesis. So firstly, the blood vessel formation starts with the vasculogenesis. It begins in the yolk sac, connecting stalk, and the extraembryonic mesoderm in the tertiary villi. So mesodermal cells from cell mass form the blood islands. It will known as hemangioblasts. Hemangioblasts differentiate into primitive hematopoietic stem cells and endothelial precursor cells. So because endothelial precursor cells, they will form endothelium, and hemangioblast cells, they will form the blood cells. So this is how a tube will be formed. And vasculogenesis, it is a process of formation of new vessel, and angiogenesis pertains to sprouting of the vessel into adjacent area by endothelial budding. तो अब ट्यूब तो बन गई वैस्कुलोजेनेसिस से, इसकी स्प्राउटिंग से जो होगा दैट इज एंजियोजेनेसिस. सो एंजियोजेनेसिस सेकेंडरी टू वैस्कुलोजेनेसिस. पहले वैस्कुलोजेनेसिस होगा, उसके बाद एंजियोजेनेसिस होगा. So at the beginning of the third week, formation of vasculature begins in the extra-embryonic mesoderm of the yolk sac, connecting stalk and chorion. सब जगह एक साथ होगा because we have to establish the fletoplacental circulation in placenta. Now, what are the steps in formation of vasculature? On day 17, the mesenchymal cells differentiate into the hemangioblasts. So these are the hemangioblasts. They aggregate to form the cluster of cells called blood islands. And hemangioblasts differentiate into two cell lineages as follows. Primitive hematopoietic stem cells form erythropoietic cells, megakaryocytes, and primitive macrophages, and endothelial precursor cells, which will form the epithelial lining of the primitive endothelium. So we have two categories, hemangioblasts, primitive hematopoietic cells, and endothelial precursor cells. Then small cavities will appear in the blood islands to form lumen of primitive capillaries. Primitive hemangioblastic islands will fuse to develop capillary networks. That is, vasculogenesis will occur. Then epithelial precursor cells, they will sprout into adjacent mesenchyme, and they will fuse with adjacent hemangioblastic island and develop new capillaries. So now angiogenesis will come into play. So by the third week, yolk sac, connecting stalk, and chorionic villi get completely vascularized. So yolk sac is the first supplier of the blood cells, that is up to 60 days. Later, liver, spleen, thymus, and bone marrow will take over the hematopoietic function.